Okay, fine, guys. Today our topic is first hope redundancy protocol. It's a redundancy protocol, and first of all, we'll discuss what is redundancy and what is the requirement of redundancy. So, in my LAN network, my LAN network is there. I have connected with one switch. This switch is connected to multiple users or multiple departments or multiple VLANs. You can assume like it's connected to multiple departments. So connectivity is access switch to connected likewise. And this is switch, access switch. The switch is connected to one of our LAN router, and this router is connected to here any service provider. Only one service provider, or you can assume like we have different service providers. Now this service provider is connected to internet, like Google. It's our internet, google.com. If you are reaching from Google, you can access any websites likewise. It's kind of search engine, and likewise we have connected. So now tell me, it's a router, the gateway of our. What is the gateway? Anyone can explain me? What is the gateway?
The gateway is bridge
It
between.
can be connected with different protocol
Bridge.
connection.
Okay, Jyoti. Fine. Apart from that,
Access point, simply access point.
okay. Apart from that,
Entry
A
and
bridge
exit point.
between two
yes, Krishna. Tell me.
a bridge between two internet and servers.
Akhil, got it. Akhil,
Entry and exit point.
yeah. It's entry or exit point to another network. See, it's my LAN network is like 192.168.10 dot something, and we have a 255 users in this LAN. So it's my entire LAN network, and this is the outside of connected network. This is a different network, like 1.1.1.1.0/24. It's a private IP address, not a public IP address, and this one is a private IP address. And private IP addresses are free, and public IP addresses are we should have to buy from INA or internet service provider. Those guys will be provided to us. This is the I want to communicate at different location, that different public IP address or private IP, public IP addresses are different branches. If I have here one more branch, this branch is connected at different location. Likewise, this is my switch again at different location branch. So here we have a gateway through will communicate. The gateway is a point of exit or entry level of LAN network. Entry or exit point of LAN network. So we have a only one network. Now here we have a one network, one LAN network, and only one connected network and connected to the ISP. So the reachability is proper in between us. I can easily communicate 8.8.8.8. It's a Google IP address. I can easily communicate this IP address when the link is perfectly working. In this link is perfectly working. Only we have a single link. This PC1 can communicate easily to this likewise. What happened if this link is goes down? This link is goes down. It's a kind of single point of failover. Single point of failover. What happened? So we cannot communicate to other network. So because here our gateway of this PC, for example, the gateway of this PC is 192.168.10.1. The gateway is like IP address is like here 192.168 and 10 dot IP address you can assume 10, and gateway of this IP address is gateway. What is gateway? 192.168.10.1. The gateway is not, we cannot able to reach. So what happened? So we cannot able to communicate the different network also. So how we can reduce this kind of issue? How can we reduce this kind of issue? Here we have a single point of failure. So what I will do here, I'll take one more router. It's a redundancy router. So it is our redundancy router, and better I'll draw and I'll take one more router, two routers. Earlier we have only one router, R1 and R2. So this connected to our LAN network, and LAN network is connected to multiple users, multiple VLANs, multiple departments. You can assume these are the, we have a multiple users. So these all are connected likewise. And these both are connected to again internet, ISP to internet. Likewise, they connected. So if this link goes down, we have a redundancy. We have a redundancy. If this link goes down, we have a redundancy. These LAN users can communicate easily now. No issue. No, we don't have issue because we have an active router also, one more standby router also. Standby means it's primary router. You can assume it's a secondary router. If primary routers went down, also we don't have any issue because we have a standby. So this is the call, we call it as a hot standby redundancy protocol, because we have a redundancy with redundancy gateway. Mainly we configure redundancy gateway. How we'll configure? I'll explain those things. But the concept is like we have a redundancy devices. We have a redundancy devices. If one fails and we have another, if we now we don't have here, we not have here any single point of failure. This is the call, we call it as a first hope redundancy protocol. Understood? What is the requirement of redundancy protocol? These end users can communicate easily with 8.8.8. That is a Google IP address, and with ISP. So we have a single ISP. So if you have a multiple ISPs also, can assume here we have a multiple ISPs. Again, this ISP is connected to this router, and this router is this ISP is connected to again any internet, or they have we reach ISP till ISP means we don't need to any issues. So this ISP having the, for example, 1 gig speed and this ISP have a only like 100 Mbps. That time, what we will do, whichever the ISP having the highest speed, that router will make it as a primary, and whichever the having the less ISP, that router will make it as a secondary backup router. Likewise, you can assume that is the, see, this is the router, and this router is connected to, we have a 2 ISPs, and this ISP is connected to again internet, you can assume. Now, this LAN network connected likewise. Multiple users. Here we have multiple users. Switch, LAN switch, and LAN switch is connected likewise. And we have a different gateways, you can assume. And this ISP having 100 Mbps link, 100 Mbps, and this link is having 1 gig. So we can use here redundancy path. This is a primary and this is a secondary. In real time, we'll use likewise also. This is a primary path and this is a secondary path. This is a different scenario. As I mentioned, 3 scenarios, only one link. If it is goes down, so it's a single point of failure. We don't have any redundancy. So here we have a redundancy with only one ISP, you can assume, or different ISP, but here our LAN user routers are 2, and here we have only one LAN router. Likewise, also we can use it with FHRP. First hope redundancy protocol. First hope redundancy protocol. Got it? And FHRP. It's a family of FHRP having 3 types. Here, first one is HSRP and VRRP and GLBP. So 3 versions, 3 types of FHRP: Hot Standby Redundancy Protocol, Virtual Router Redundancy Protocol, Gateway Load Balancer Protocol. We have a 3 types here. We'll discuss each and every one. And before that, any doubts what we discussed till now?
No.
Good. There's 3 types: Hot Standby Redundancy Router Protocol, and Virtual Router Redundancy Protocol, and Gateway Load Balancing Protocol. You can write likewise also: Hot Standby Redundancy Protocol and Virtual Router Redundancy Protocol and Gateway Load Balancing Protocol. 3 versions we have. And what is the difference between these 3 protocols? We'll discuss. My screen is visible now? Here?
Yes.
Yeah, 3 flavors we have. So any devices are faulty, we discussed redundancy attempts to eliminate a single point of failure by providing duplicate devices and links. So here we have 3 differences. First, HSRP Hot Standby Redundancy Protocol, Virtual Router Redundancy Protocol, Gateway Load Balancing Protocol. And HSRP and GLBP, both are Cisco proprietary. Whenever you are using Cisco devices, it will be supported. If you are using any HP, Aruba, Palo Alto, any different vendor, apart from this Cisco, we have a protocol that is, it's open standard, that is VRRP. It's open standard. And who will be support the load balancing? And here we have a only GLBP support the load balancing. Load balancing means you can use within a time multiple links at a time, multiple links you can use. But here we have a only that option here GLBP will support. That is also Cisco proprietary. And this is a multicast group. With this multi-cast group only, they will send updates. They'll send messages. They'll send hello timer, hold down timer, everything they'll send with the help of this multicast group only. And HSRP having 224.0.0.2 version 1 and 224.0.0.102, it's version 2. We have two version in HSRP. In that versions, different multicast IP address, and 18 for the open standard, that is VRRP protocol. And same here version 2 and your GLBP, both are will use same multicast group. And timers here, whenever sending the update periodically every 3 seconds, after 3 seconds, they will send the updates if HSRP neighbor is alive or not. If it is not alive, then it will be hold up to 10 seconds. Then it will be secondary router will elect as a primary router. It will be upgrade as a primary router. If active router is not giving response, that time it will wait up to 10 seconds only. It will send periodically update every 3 seconds. The same here within 1 second only it will be sent, and it will be wait for the 3 seconds, up to 3 seconds. It's a fastest protocol compared to this. And same here 3 seconds, because it's a Cisco proprietary again. And election here, how it will be elected? Whichever having the highest priority, priority up to 255. Priority up to the last priority is 255, from 0 to 255. Whichever router having the highest priority, it will be elected as a active router. Whichever the router having the less priority, highest priority having if 255, it's a major. If the router having 255, then it will be elected as a active router. Other one is a standby router. Here also same. Priority value is same, 0 to 255. And by default priority is 100. Default priority is 100. If priority both are routers are same priority, router 1 and router 2 both are having the priority same, then it will be select with the help of highest physical IP address, whichever we are configuring. See here, if this is my router 1 having the priority like 192.168.10. This is a 10, and this is having 192.168.10.20. So compared to this router, this physical IP address, this is the highest one. So it will be elected as this one is an active router and this one is a standby router. Based on the IP address, if priority will be tried, because by default priority is 100. Both having the priority is 100. So priority is a tiebreaker. IP address is a tiebreaker here. If priority match both routers, then it will be elected based on the highest physical IP address, whichever we are configuring for this interface, physical interface. I'll show you in lab. It will be elect based on the IP address. Now, in here also same highest priority, and in gateway also highest priority and highest IP address as a tiebreaker. And router roles, here we have the active router and we have a standby router. Active and standby, but in VRRP, one is the active active one, and apart from that, all are the backup routers. And here we have a AVG. It's a because of it will be load balancing up to 4 AVG we have, means in physical we will show you the in GLBP. It's a likewise we'll configure like it's our LAN network, and LAN network is connected to multiple hosts, and this host likewise. At a time we can use 1, 2, 3, 4, R1 also, and R2 also, and R3 also, and R4 also. 2, 3, and 4. At a time we'll use for this PC for primary, and we'll use primary for him, primary for him, primary for him, likewise. Can use. It is possible in GLBP only. It is possible in GLBP. So AVG, active virtual gateway. Those are the active virtual gateways. Up to 4 routers, 4 AVGs available. And apart from that, active virtual forwarders who will be elected different way up to this many routers we can use. 4024 AVGs available 1024. If one AVG went down, for example, here, if this is goes down, we have one more router. It will become to the AVG. It will be elected as a AVG router, active virtual gateway. If one more goes down, we have up to 1024 this many routers. Will not use GLBP. Will not use in real time GLBP. Will use in Cisco routers this one HSRP, and will use in VRRP for another router. Even though it's perform here load balancing. Yes, here we'll perform the load balancing. Here we cannot perform, but if we required, we can perform the load balancing in both these routers also. In this both versions also. How we'll perform, I'll explain you end of this session. But this router by default we cannot perform load balancing. Will not use this routing protocol in real time. It is difficult. This many routers we cannot use also, and 4 routers also we cannot use up to in LAN segment. We'll use only 2 routers. So I am explaining that thing also, but now move forward. Understood, guys?
We can only use GLBP for 2 routers.
Yes, we can use. We can apply this. But see,
Okay.
See,
Like
if you want to load balancing, for this is only for the load balancing here we are performing. Okay, here we have the active virtual gateways up to 4, it will be support. In our real case, see, here we have a one LAN user. For this LAN user, this one is a active way, and this one is the standby way. Okay, this one is the standby. For another LAN we have for that LAN, this is a different department, and this one is a different department. Like this is a VLAN 10, and this network is in VLAN 20. For VLAN 10 part, this is the active router. VLAN 20 part, this is the active router, and VLAN 10 part, I'll make it as this one is the active router. Likewise, I can use here these protocols, HSRP and VRRP for load balancing purpose. For load balancing purpose, I can use likewise. But in GLBP, what is the happen? We have 4 routers, 1, 2, 3, 4 routers, and we have a 1 LAN segment. We have a multiple users here. For this LAN users, at a time they can communicate, they can use all the links, but this is active, all in GLBP, all are the active virtual gateways. These all are the active virtual gateways. For this user, this is the gateway. For user, this is the gateway. This is a gateway for user. This is a gateway for this user. It will be select as a group based. But in VRRP and HSRP, we can perform based on the VLAN. Based on the VLANs, we can perform the load balancing. Here, user based performing. Here, even though this is a VLAN 10 also, we have the 4 PCs. They can use different way for the different user. They can use this kind of load balancing. That is the only difference between this this protocol and this protocol. Guys, I hope you got the point.
Yeah.
Fine, good. Now, what is preempt? The preempt here by default it is disabled in HSRP, and by default it is enabled in VRRP, and it is disabled again in HSRP. Here also disabled and here also disabled. Here it is on. It is enabled. So what is the preempt? I'll explain. Listen properly, guys. Here we have a 2 gate redundancy routers R1 and R2. This one R1 and R2. This is the R2. Now they are connected one LAN, and this LAN is connected to multiple end users and and they connected ISP. Now this is one is the active router and this one is a standby router. They are elected based on the priority. I have changed here priority like 110. I make it as a 110. Priority is 110. Even though IP address is smaller than this, not higher than this. Even though IP address is smaller than this, here tiebreaker is like priority based. It is elected as a this router as a active router. Now, what happened if this link goes down? If this link goes down, if preemption is not enabled, if what happened if link goes down, then this router assumes, still this router will assume I am the active only. That time the traffic move likewise only. The traffic is move likewise only. This router also, he'll think I am the standby router only. This router will assume I am the standby router only. When the preemption is disabled, preempt is disabled. If preempt is enabled, then suddenly in 3 seconds, we have every 3 seconds, periodically, every 3 seconds, hello message will be sent. In that hello message, what content will be happen? The content is, I am the active and standby routers, whichever the standby and active router, that will be content will be happen in this hello message. With every 3 seconds, the router will send to each other. This router will send to him and this R2 will send to him. If preemption disabled, this router will be assumed like I am the, still he is assumed like I am the standby router, I am the active router. So that is the reason we have a preempt option. So in HSRP and GLBP, by default it is disabled. We should have to manually enable preemption option. We have to enable the option, that preemption option. Any doubt in preemption?
No.
And one more scenario for preemption. Here we have one more router. R3, and this one is the gateway for this router. He's a new joining, and this router issue is happen. So this router faulty, and that active router is faulty, and this router is went down. That so we kept on one more router, and will forget to IP address is given the different for this IP address. So that time also this is a standby router, and it will be elected as the active router. Likewise also it will not elected as an active router. Mainly the standby router will not elected as an active router whenever the new router also joining. This router only I will move to the active, because here what is the happen if active router is not active router fails, then standby router is not elected as an active router. This users cannot communicate with them with the help of this R2 routers. The packets will be dropped here. They cannot reach to internet. The end users cannot reach to end users. So we need a preemption option. With the help of preemption, I'll explain in more in lab. Fine. That is the main thing for preemption. And this is a virtual MAC addresses for this series for this 0.000 and 0.0.CR07 and AC. This is the group. It will be selected based on the whichever we are giving the group. It will be elected based on this group. If we have multiple groups, then we'll find out the traffic will forward with the help of this virtual MAC addresses, and 01XX for VRRP, and this is the GLBP. And IP support, IPv6 support only for Cisco proprietary, not for open standard. VRRP will not support IPv6. Both will support IPv6. And you can use HSRP when all the gateway routers are Cisco. As I mentioned, it's a Cisco proprietary protocol, HSRP, Hot Standby Redundancy Protocol, and VRRP for the, if non-Cisco devices is there, you can use VRRP, and GLBP for the gateway load balancer. Understood?
Yes.
And here we have a different states for, we have a different states here. In HSRP, we have a states. What are those? Disable, initial, learn, listen, speak, standby, and active. Whenever you are not configured, that state is disable state, and if you configure the router, but still it is not elected as a active or standby router, that init, it will move to the init state, and then it is learning the IP addresses are priority, and once it will be learn, then it will be first it will be move to the listen state, and once it will be listen, then speak state. It means it will be learn IP addresses, priority, everything. Then it will be moved to the standby state, and once standby state, it will be elected, it will be promoted as if having the highest highest priority or highest MAC address. Sorry, not MAC, priority or highest physical IP address. If priority is tie, then it will be moved to the highest physical IP address. Based on that, it will be elected as a that router elected as a active router. Active router, it means it's a primary router. With the help of active router only, will send the traffic or receive the traffic. And see here we have a redundancy. How will configure? Basically, how will configure? It's my LAN, and this LAN is connected to internet ISP. How will configure for end users? Activity and see 192.168.10.10, and this IP address is a gateway of this 192.168.10.20. So this is the gateway of this PC, and this is the gateway of this PC. I'm giving this is a interface as a gateway. So this interface goes down, and it will be not move the traffic. Earlier the traffic is move likewise, and this is the gateway for these PCs. Okay, so here I am giving the physical gateway. It will be happen whenever the link goes down, then traffic cannot forward the traffic likewise, because we have given the PC of this gateway is this is the gateway. This is the gateway we have given. So it will be not transfer the traffic based on this. So we need a virtual gateway here. So that is we have to configure here 192.168 dot something, whichever we need, we require, will give likewise 100 we can give. So based on the virtual gateway, if this link goes down also, if this link goes down also, active will be elected as a standby, and standby, if it is there, it will be promoted as a active router when this router is goes down. So we have a concept here, virtual gateway, not we will not configure as a physical gateway. Based on that, it will be elect. When in once disabled, we haven't configured here till it will be moved to the init. When a preempt is disabled, that time also it will be moved to the init state only. I'll show you that also. Preemption also disable. Preemption also disable in between. Then active router move to the init state. It will not move to the learn state. When learn state is learning the entire, it will be hello timers will be sent, and whenever it IP addresses, MAC addresses, it will be learn in learning state and listen. In this listen state, we have a one more router. One is active router and one is standby router, and all are routers, listening states only. If we have multiple router gateway routers, these all are in the listening states. When it went down, it will be promoted as a standby. It will be promoted as a standby state. And speak, it means they can sending the hello packet with MAC with priority and entire HSRP content configuration they'll sending to each other. And standby is a secondary router. It will promote to, if the router having the best priority, it will be moved to the promoted as an active router. These are the states in we have in STP. Sorry, in HSRP. If you have any queries, ask me. Otherwise, we'll move to the lab.
Can you explain states one more time?
Okay, fine. In disable state indicates that interface is either not configured for HSRP or administratively down. So I haven't configured till that will be disable state. Init state, an interface begin in an initial state when first configuration with HSRP are taken out of administratively shut down. Means when it will be happen, administratively will shut down these interfaces. As I mentioned, will shut down interface for this or shut down this interface. It will be moved to the init state. It will be moved to the init state, which we have where we have configured like HSRP. Where we configured HSRP, it will be moved to the once administratively we are manually we are doing the shutdown state. And one more thing, in preemption option, if that is disabled, preemption is disabled here. That time also it will be not elected as a router 2 will not elected as a primary router. It means it will be not elected as a active router. That time it will be moved to the init state. Understood? And learning state, interface enters a learn state if it does not know the HSRP virtual IP addresses. This IP and these IPs, they don't know. It will be learn state. They are trying to learning these IP addresses. They are trying to learn MAC addresses. They are trying to learn HSRP configuration in learning state. And listening state, we have a multiple routers, right? These all are routers. One is active, other one is standby. Apart from that, we have a multiple routers also where we configure as a HSRP. Those routers will be listen state. One is active, one is standby, and one is listening state. All are the listening states. State knows the virtual IP addresses but was not elected as a either active or standby router. Understood? This is not elected as a active or these routers are not elected as a standby routers. That will be moved to the listen state. And standby, interface in speak state are currently participating in the election of active or standby router. Election are performed using hello packets which are sent out every 3 seconds by default. In speak state, what will happen? Periodically, every 3 seconds, they will send the messages. If the router who active router went down is not giving the update to this router, then both are in speak state up to 10 seconds. It will be elected as a router, as a active router. This way, okay, once this router is went down, active router is went down, then secondary router, standby router will be elected as a primary router, active router based on the based on the priority and based on the highest physical IP address. It will be content is every 3 second periodically it will be sent. And standby state indicates that the interfaces is acting as a backup to active router. See, as I mentioned here, active router went down. The backup router will promoted as a active router. The standby router promoted as a active router. When this router goes down, in that will be standby state. And interfaces in active state is live gateway and while forwarding traffic sent to the virtual IP addresses with the help of virtual IP addresses, whichever we configuring with virtual gateway. With this gateway, with the help of active router, they'll send the traffic in active state. The active router only will send the traffic. This will be happen in states. Understood?
Yes.
Great. This is all about FHRP, and FHRP having the three types. One is HSRP and VRRP and GLBP. It's a Cisco proprietary, and this one Cisco proprietary. It's open standard. Now we'll move to the lab. If you have any questions, ask me. Otherwise, we'll move to the lab now. So here I'm taking one router. Can assume this is the ISP router. This one is ISP. And this ISP is connected to our LAN network. And in this LAN network, I'm taking here distribution layers. Two multi-layer switches. If you need, you can take here router also, no issue. How will configure IP addresses to multi-layer switches? So that is the reason I'm taking here multi-layer switch. You can take as a router also, no issue. And one access switch, and access switch is connected multiple users. These are all are in by default VLAN, that is VLAN 1. All the users are in VLAN 1 by default. So four users I have taken here. So now switch one. Switch two. And here my IP address is for this switch 192.168.10.10 for this PC and 24. These are default gateway for this PCs also. 192.168.10.20 and IP address of this. These are default gateway and these are default gateway. Now just configuration part. And here IP address is, it's a public IP addresses 11.1.1.1 for this use interface, and this interface for 11.1.1.2. And here for this interface IP address is 12.1.1.1 for this interface, and .1.1.1/24, and we have a one loopback IP address for communicating of loopback IP address is here. Loopback is a IP address. It's a virtual IP address that is I am configuring here 8.8.8. It is not a physical IP address. It is a virtual IP address. Virtual. It means this is a Google IP address, and virtual interface you can assume We'll discuss more in lab. I'll show you in the lab how we'll configure what is the requirement of this. Okay, this IP address. So, any doubts in topology? Yes or no?
You have to assign that I have physical IP addresses. Can you tell me one second?
Sorry, pardon?
These physical, these are the physical IP addresses, right? How we should, on what basis we should assign them?
See, this is our LAN network, right? This is entire our LAN network. So up to here, our LAN network, and this is a WAN network. And this WAN network is connected like you can assume this is a Google IP address. This Google IP address is somewhere else. This is a ISP or internet somewhere else. This is I have taken here. This is our ISP router. This one is our ISP router. So that is the reason this I have taken virtually. I am taking this virtually. I will create the IP address for this virtual interface. I will create, and on that virtual interface I will give this IP address. And one more, physically how we'll configure, I'll show you in lab for that. For your doubt, I'll show you in that how and what basis I am taken means. Simply I have taken the IP address whichever you required, and that IP address you can take in this range. This is the IP address 255. The subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. In this range, we have a 254 IP address because in this range we have actually 256 IP addresses. One is broadcast and one is for network ID. One is broadcast and one is network ID in this range. And all are the valid IP addresses. 254 are the valid IP addresses. That basis I have taken, but this is your wish because L3 device in router or multi-layer switch will work between two networks. Two or more networks. Whenever you are configuring the routers or multi-layer switches, we need a different IP addresses. We need a different networks. Then only you can communicate. If same network, if you are trying to give here, it will show error like overloaded. That I'll show you. I'll try to give this same range to this interface also. It will be show like overloaded. So in L3 devices, if you have multiple interfaces, so you should have to take different ranges, different subnets. Then only you can assign the IP addresses. So that basis I have taken the different networks. I hope you got it. Still, have you got it or not?
Yes, yes, sir.
Great. So configuration, we'll check here. First, I'm taking here. Which one? So for this interface, is IP address is 192.168.10.10. How I am configuring here interface fast Ethernet 0/2. So IP address, it will not take the IP address. It will not take the IP address. If you want to configure IP address, then try to give 192.168.10.10. By default, these switches we cannot configure the IP address. By default, the switches will assume like L2 device only. They are act as like L2 device only, even though that is L3 device. So if you want to configure the IP address to these interfaces, so we have to make it as it's a router interface, L3 interface. So how we'll configure? So no switch port with the help of this command. No switch port. By default, it is acting as a switch port. It is acting as a switch port. So you should have to give no switch port. Then it will be once it will be down and it will be moved to the up. Then you can assign the IP address. IP address 192.168.10.10 and gateway subnet mask 255.255.0. Understood how we are assigning? Earlier it is showing like invalid input. Invalid input. Now it has taken the IP address. So no need here, no shutdown. By default, both are up only because it's the interface switches by default up only. All the interfaces up only. In router interfaces only down by default. You can check here. I haven't here not using the no shutdown command, but here you are connected L3 device to one router. This switch to router. So the switch interface is down here. The switch interface is down. So both showing down. So I've configured the IP address for this and I'm configuring the above interface. Interface fast Ethernet 0/1. In between, I'll ask the questions, bro. If you are listening or not, if you are getting any doubts, just tell me. I'm using no speak port for this interface also. IP address and 11.1.1.1 255.255.255.0. No shutdown. For this router, I have given this interface and this interface, physical interface. I mean, how will check? Show IP interface brief. So here down, but here this interface is showing down up only because these interfaces we haven't configured till. For this switch, no, and enable conf hostname interface fast Ethernet 0/2 IP address Soumya. Soumya, are you there?
Yes, sir.
If I'll hit enter, it will be take the IP address or not? If I'll hit the enter, it will be take the IP address or not?
Yes.
Okay. Jyoti, if I will hit the enter, it will be take the IP address or not?
Yes.
Okay. Krishna,
Yes, it will take.
okay. Uha,
I think we need to enable the IP routing.
no, not for that. IP routing. Now it will be not take. Okay, fine. Okay. Preetham,
Yes, SLM.
it will take the IP address or not? If I will try hit the enter, it will be take the IP address or not? This interface.
No, it won't take.
So what changes I should have to make here?
We need to assign the switch port.
By default, it is a switch port only. By default, it is a switch port only. Already, it's a switch port only. No need to assign the switch port. Mirza?
And we need to, I mean,
Okay,
we need to
Pritam.
understand the switch port.
Yes,
Enable
yes, it will
this.
take.
Yes, it will take. Okay, got Rohit.
It will take.
Ravindra?
Yes, sir, it will be it will be take.
Venkat? Okay, no. So by default, it won't take. So here showing invalid input.
No switch port.
Yeah. So Pritam, you said right, and one more also who also tell we should have to tell that is by default it is L2 port. So we should have to make it as a L3 port. So routing part it is different to how that is. So here we are making only with the help of no switch port command this interface as a L3. We are making as a this is a L3 port simply. Now it will be taken. IP address 192.168.10.20. So exit and interface fast Ethernet for this top of interface ISP interface configuration 0/1. So no switch port. So IP address 12.1.1.1. This is an interview question actually. What I have asked you now just now, it's an interview question. So no shutdown and for router configuration, enable and config T ISP router and interface fast Ethernet for FI 0/0 0/0 and IP address is 1.1.1.1.2 255.255.255.0 and no shutdown. Once I hit enter no shutdown, here it will be moved to the green color. This status is up. Now exit from this interface and one more interface fast Ethernet 0/1 and IP address is. So here I am not using no switch port command because it's a L3 device only. It's a router. Whenever you are configuring the switches, so by default switch interfaces are all in L2 position only, L2. So router interfaces are L3. So easily we can assign IP addresses. IP addresses work, it will be, it's a layer 3. So if you are giving L2 interfaces, L3 IP addresses, it won't take. IP addresses work in L3 basically. So 12.1.2.1. One more thing, which basis I have giving these IP addresses? Mirza, you have asked me question, which basis I am giving the IP addresses. I'll try to give earlier for this interface FA0/0, I have given the IP address here 11.1.1.2. It's a I will try to give same network in this network only. What will be happen? IP address 11.1.1. See, I have given here 2 and here I'll give the 3. 1 here, 2 here. Now trying, I'm giving the 3 here. So overlap. It won't take the IP address because it is showing the error. Already you have given the IP address for this interface. You cannot assign same network to other interfaces. So that is the reason overlaps. Mirza, have you got it?
Yes, we can't assign the same IP address for the two interfaces.
Not same IP addresses, same network.
Networks.
Same
It
network.
will
We cannot assign.
overlap.
It will be overlap. Yes.
Okay.
So you take it as a no. If
But
you
for the
want to remove,
switch, but for the switches network, as I
in
think
switch
that,
also, see,
yes.
in switch also, this is a different interface. This is a different interface. But I'm giving the same network. You can give if you have one more switch also. If you have here one more router, this router is connected likewise. You can give this same IP address, this IP address for this interface, and this IP address is for this interface. In single router, you cannot assign. In single network, you cannot assign single router. If this router is connected here, yeah. One more scenario also. This router is connected directly this router. So here same network, here same network. You cannot assign. Then also it will be overlap the IP addresses. Understood? Here one more router is connected. One more router is connected. Here you are giving the same network. And here you are trying to give the same network. That time also it will be faced on some issues. Even you can configure it, it will be take. Later it will show the some errors. But in same routers, here different network ID, and here a different network, and here network, and here different network. Because router will work 2 or more different networks. Switch will work within a LAN. Switch will work within a LAN. This is a switch. Switch will work within the same network. Router will work different networks. That basis, we should have to give the IP addresses. IP address 12.1.1.2 and same IP address you cannot assign here. I have given the by mistakenly same IP address here and here. You cannot give the IP address same network, same IP addresses also here and here in a single gate, single segment. Wait for a second. No shutdown. It will be showing some errors. Duplicate address first Ethernet. The source is already given. This is the source of MAC address of this interface. Already we have assigned to this interface the duplicate IP address you have given. So change it. It is indicating some error. For your reference, I configure likewise. I'm changing now here too. I hope you got it. Already I did. So till up to here, any doubts? Sub configuration part. And one more thing. How will configure virtual interface, that is loopback interface. Config key interface loopback. It's a virtual interface actually. Loopback, it means it's a virtual interface. How many you can assign? How many you required? Up to this many loopbacks you can assign IP addresses. These many loopbacks you can assign. I'm taking here 1. By default, the status is up only. Virtual interfaces. Now you can assign the IP address for that. IP address 8.8.8.8 and 255.255.255.0. No shutdown, no, not required also. By default, it is status is up only. So IP interface brief. So here this I did, and here for routing part, if you want to reach from here to here up to here, so wait for till I am configuring here the IP address for default gateways. For this is 192.168.10.101 for this PC /24, and for this is 102/24. For timing, I'm giving 2 IP addresses only. (192.168.10.101). The default gateway, this one is the default gateway for this PC. This is a default gateway for this PC, and guys listen properly. And for this PC, default gateway is this one. 102.20. Here 20 is default gateway is this one. Default gateway for this PC and default gateway for this PC. How configured? Now they can reach default gateway or not, we'll check. Ping 192.168.10.10. Yes, he can reach the default gateway. If he try to reach 20, he can reach 20 also, the default gateway, because these all are in within LAN. These all are in within a LAN, within a network. If you are not giving the default gateway also, it will be ping. Try ping, same network, it is ping, it will be ping 10.10. Yes, it is pinging. I am not giving any default gateway here. 20. Simply assign the IP addresses. Within a LAN, no need the gateway. When the gateway is required, the different network I am moving. It is the exit or entry point of network. The default gateway is exit or entry point of network. So if I want to move different network, if I want to communicate different network, I should have to need default gateway. Without default gateway, I cannot reach. So within a network, no required for gateway. Here I have removed also. So you can check. You are giving also, so they can ping easily. 20 for this gateway. Fine. Till up to here, any doubts?
No.
Fine. By default, here show IP route in switch. I'll ask this question again. By default, switches will act as L2. So there is no routing table. How we enable? I'll show you that. I'll ask this question later on session. But here, if I want to move different network, we need a routing protocols. We have 3 types of routing protocols. One is static, one is default, one is dynamic, one is default. one is static. Here we'll use static routing. How manually we should have to configure static routing. Tomorrow onwards we'll discuss default and dynamic routings. Today, routing protocols, we have three options: static, default, dynamic, and default. Default means 0 whenever the destination host is unknown. In this case also we can use default routing, but I'll show you today static, how we'll configure static routing. We have three types of dynamic routing protocols. We have again OSPF, VHRP, RIP, OSPF, EAGRP. Tomorrow onwards we'll discuss. Here I have given the short introduction of that. No worries. How I am configuring here, I'll show you also. So this is my different network. This is a network and this one is a network. I should have to communicate from one network to another network. So in routing protocols, show IP route. With this command, we'll check in routing table. Router will maintain the routing table. So by default, connected router, whichever we have configured here, it is showing here. 8.8.8, I have configured. It's a logical IP address. And one more, this is a physical interfaces. These two are the physical interfaces. Up to here, it was only showing the routing table. Whichever this router having the known IP address, that only showing 11 and 12 and 8.8.8. Whichever the knowing, that many that many networks only showing, because this router learning three networks. Here L means local and C means connected. Yes, we connected these networks. So that is the reason it is showing LC, connected and local. So if I want to reach from one network to another network with the help of routing table only possible. So how I am configuring the static routing? IP.
To communicate from one network to another network, we need a routing devices, right? In that routing devices, just now we are communicated from one network to another network with the help of static routing or dynamic routing, we do.
Yeah, right. Guys, that is what in routing concept we have a three types. One is static, one is default, one is dynamic. Okay, statically we are configuring. This also statically we are configuring. These both are manually. Administrator will be configured.
We need to do it for default also. We need to assign, or it will assign automatically.
Yeah, we need to assign. Yes, we need to assign default also. We need to assign manually. We should have to assign when the destination IP address is unknown. That time we'll configure this one. When we know the destination IP address, when we know we know the destination IP address. What is our destination IP address? 8.8.8.8.
We have
if you know
the destination IP address, that's what we know this, right?
Right.
If you don't know the destination IP address, why? Because we have not assigned it manually. Then we wish to use by default routing device.
Zero, yes, D0.0.0, and subnet mask also 0.0.0, and whichever the exit interface. With that exit interface, 1 dot. Likewise, you can assign 1.1.1.1 or next hop IP address. This one also you can assign. It will be take. How? I'll show you that. Wait. Whenever the destination address is unknown, that time we'll configure default routing, and whenever destination IP address is we know, that time we'll configure static routing, and we don't know or we know the destination IP address, it won't take. By default, once you configure OSPF or EAGRP or RIP protocol, that time by default it will take automatical path. If you have multiple path, for likewise we have a multiple path, likewise also. If you have multiple router, one router here, one router here, we have one more path. Likewise, it will be by default, it will take primary path, secondary path, and whichever if you have third path also, it will take based on the requirement, it will be take default. By default, it will be take. Understood? So here the main thing is whenever we know the destination IP address, we configure this one. Whenever we don't know the destination IP address, we configure this one. So how we'll configure default? I'll show you. See, if you know the destination IP address, what? 8.8.8.8. So this is a whole network I'm taking. So 08 is mandatory. So 255.255.255.0. This is a default gateway. And what is, sorry, this is a router. So guys, once you are configuring here in this switch one, config T IP route, and here after IP route you can use anything. If you are configuring any different, here you don't know the destination IP address. Here one more IP address also is there, 1.1.1.1, 2.2.2.2, something, lot of IP addresses is there. You don't know those many IP addresses. Simply we'll assign like default 0.0.0.0 IP address, and mask, subnet mask is 0.0.0.0, and for this is a next hop IP address is next hop IP address. Give question mark. Here you can check any next hop IP address, fast Ethernet of this interface or this interface, gigabit is there, any VLAN is there, you can assign likewise. So I am giving the next IP address. I know this is the format we should have to configure.
I think 1.1.2.
Yeah, great. So show IP route. So in this routing protocol, it is acting as a L2. So how will enable the routing in this router?
IP route.
Yes, routing. Great. With this command will enable the routing. Who's given the answer this one?
Okay.
Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah, Mirza?
It is acting as a L2 or L3. It should act like L3, right? It's a switch. So
It
will
is,
be L3.
even though it is L3 device, it is acting as a L2 only. Great. So IP route. Earlier you tried to give this command, it wasn't work, it have not working. See here. Once we enable the IP routing, now it is acting as a L3 device. So statically we configured S static, S showing here static, condition default. Here star mag means condition default, static and default, because IP address is here default via this interface. This how we configure.
We know this. That's what it took the static, right?
Yeah, statically we configure, right? So that is the reason it is taken this static. And condition is applied what? It is a default IP address. No, I don't want likewise config here. How I am removing IP route 0.0.0 and 0.0.0.0. This way I configured 1.1.1.2. So simply I'm removing likewise. Now show IP route removed, and I'm configuring again static configuration IP route, because I know the destination IP address 8.8.8.8. My goal is I should have to reach the virtual interface, that is loopback interface 8.8.8.8. So 255.255.255.0 and my next hop IP address is 1.11.1.1.1.2. Now you can check here, show IP route. Earlier star mark is there, now no star mark. 8.8.8.8 IP address and via this interface. This is a routing table.
Like
You
by
are the
default,
networking.
it's static, sir.
Sorry, it's a default. It is not a default. See, because here star mark is not there, even though here 0.0. Whenever you are seeing 0.0.0.0, that is default. When we don't know the destination IP address, we don't know the destination IP address, that time we will configure. Here we know the destination IP address. That is the reason
Okay.
I have configured
It's
here
static. Okay.
static one.
Okay.
Fine. And multiple destination hosts are available, multiple hosts, because internet having the lot of IP addresses. So we'll configure this interface, WAN interface, default IP address only, because we don't know the we don't know multiple IP addresses, and it will be take much more routing table also. Whenever we configure each and every router also, it will take more. So mostly we'll configure from our LAN to WAN, will configure default routing only in real time. What I explained here, you got it?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now move to for this enable config interface fast Ethernet 0/2. I have given the IP addresses. Show IP interface brief, as I have configured the interfaces. Now configuration routing IP route 8.8.8.0 255.255.255.0 and 12.1.1.2 is the next hop IP address. This is the way to view IP address. Now check config. Before I should have to enable routing, IP routing. This command I am enabling the routing. Show IP route. With this command I am checking here routing table statically. See, statically enabled, and next hop IP address is this one. I should have to configuration of here also, and for this interface and this interface. And what is my IP address? This is LAN network having 192.168.10.0. This is a, it will becomes under this network. Entire network comes under this network. 192.168. First, I should have to give the my destination IP address here. Destination IP address, destination prefix. What is the 192.168.10.0 and what is my subnet mask? Prefix mask. So here 255.255.255.0 and next is next hop IP address. For this interface and this interface, I should have to mention here. Both interfaces I should have to. If I will give only one means, if I will configure this one means traffic, all times it will be move likewise only, always. So I should have to configure both way. So my next hop IP address 11.1.1.1 and one more IP address is 11.1.1.2. So now check the routing table, show IP route. So here we have a two path. One is for this path and one is for this path. I can reach the destination IP address of this one. This router destination IP address is this one. I have a two path via this path and via this path. We have a two path. This is my statically I have configured. Any doubts?
So which route will be selected, sir? Like when we send a message?
Yeah, right. We'll check that thing now. No, we'll check that thing. Till up to here, and anyone have any doubts?
No.
So here for this PC, this is a path, and for this PC, this is a path I have mentioned, because default you can check with the help of ipconfig command. With the help of ipconfig command and trace route also you can check it. No issue. ipconfig. And my IP address for this PC is this one, and default gateway is this one, and subnet mask is this one. Ping 8.8.8.8. Try to ping from here to destination. Yes, we can able to ping. We can able to ping. We can able to ping. First packet stop because MAC address learning for that is the reason request timeout. No trace at 8.8.8.8. With this command, will my next hope IP address is this one, because this is the default gateway and this is a different location. Because how I am going, the way is what I mentioned here. It will be move likewise. Now move to PC. This one, this PC. First, before the check the IP address, IP config, and my default gateway is this one. This is the default gateway. Try to ping 8.8.8.8. Yes, we can able to ping and check the trace at 8.8.8.8. See, both pieces you can check here. 10 here and 20 here. Both are different way. They are selected. Verified. Got it? Guys, understood
Yeah.
or not?
Yes.
Fine. Now, so if this interface goes down, what is true? He cannot communicate. If this interface goes down, he cannot communicate. We'll try to config. We'll try to make config interface fast Ethernet 0/2. Just use shutdown command. Went down for this interface, down and administrative down. Try to ping him. No. Request to timeout. You can check here. Request to timeout. He cannot communicate to your Google. He cannot communicate to internet. So this kind of issue will face if FHRP not there. If FHRP not there, first hope redundancy not there, will face first hope redundancy protocol is not there, will face this kind of issues. If this interface goes down, he cannot communicate this thing. Still he can able to communicate because port is up only. So I haven't done. So we'll try to make it up now. No shutdown. So if you are giving the gateway for this, then also issue. See, if you are changing what you are changing here, always you should have to go and give the physical gateway, you should have to change. Then only you can communicate. If you are making changes every time, it will be take a lot of time. Understood? So if you cannot make it right, we have a 10 gateways 10. So it's a not good thing. We cannot make it always. So we should have to give a one virtual gateway. We should have to give a virtual gateway in range 192.168 10.100. I'll make it as a this is a virtual gateway. I'll give here. If this interface is goes down, this will be make it as a active, then traffic will be move likewise. If it is this interface is goes down, it will be moved as a active, it will be elected as a active, then always traffic will be moved likewise. Then we can communicate easily. We can communicate easily when we configure as a redundancy protocol. How we'll configure it? Understood the concept scenario? What is the requirement for this? Guys,
Yes, sir.
fine. So just move to in this router and just select as this interface FA0/2 config.
If both the
terminal.
routers goes down, then it will create a physical gateway, right?
If this interface is goes down, we have a another interface. It will be make it as a active router. This one is a active one. If when this is a active, it will be elected as a active. If you this interface also goes down, we have one more option. By default, this is a listening state. Listening or learning?
Whenever we
Listening
are
only.
pinging, whenever we are pinging, it will go through all states, right?
Yes. No, it won't go. It by default the traffic will be more active only. Whichever having the router active, that one already elected. The states is when we configured as a active or standby. I'll show you that. Once it will move to the active router, then it won't go step by step all the states. Why? The CPU utilization
If
is
the
waste.
router is active, it will automatically goes to the loop, right?
Right. That router only it goes to traffic. Okay. Now configuration part. Here virtual gateway is one 192.168.10.100. Now configuration. How will configure? First move to this interface. Interface fast Ethernet 0/2 for interface level configuration. Just use standby, and we have a group here up to this many groups we can create it. For each VLAN, we can create one group. 4095. This many groups we can create it. So here I am taking group 100. No, it will be confused. Only one. Because by default priority is 1. By default priority is 100. So now give us the IP address. IP 192.168. This is a virtual gateway configuration part done. This much only. For standby, it will be this one. And how will check? Election, show standby. Now you can check here listening state, speaking state, who is active, who is standby, it will be electing now. Now after speaking, then it will be moved to the active because we configured only one router. So that is the reason it will be elected as the active now. It haven't see the physical IP address. Now we'll check here. Enable. What I mentioned here, by default priority is like here. How much? These are 5 states. Will be more changes. Virtual IP address is this one. Virtual gateway and MAC address of this one. Group what we selected here 1 So that is the reason the group number is, it is selected 0, 1. If you selected 100 based on the value, it will be select. If you are selected 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, likewise it will be elect. If the value is 9, it will be elect. If more than that, it will be elected A, C, likewise. Hexadecimal, it will be, value will be more based on the group. And hello timer 3 seconds and hold down timer 10 seconds. It will be next hello send will be next hello, it will be sent after 1.366 seconds. And preemption is disabled. By default, preemption is disabled. And this router is a active, locally active, this one. And standby router unknown. The standby router is unknown. We haven't configured till. So that is the reason standby router is unknown, it is showing. And preemption, sorry, priority is here. By default, priority is here 100. Default priority is 100. Which interface we have configured here? Fast Ethernet 0/2. This is all about HSRP configuration part. And no more for this router. Try to configure config T terminal and interface fast Ethernet 0/2. And standby. You should have to give the same group. How many routers are there? You should have to give the same group. 1. If group is mismatched, then it won't elect IP address. Sorry, IP virtual gateways 192.168.10.100. Now check show standby. Listening state. Listening state. Speaking state. Speaking state. See, speaking. It will be elected as a what? It will be elected as a standby router, secondary router. Why? Because of preemption is disabled. Even though this having the IP address highest there compared to this router, the preemption is disabled. So preemption, whenever you enable the preemption, then it will be moved to the that proper state. Will enable later. Once we'll check how the traffic flow is happening. I'm configuring here the IP address of this PC 192.168.10.103. And here default gateway I'm giving the default gateway I'm giving here, that is virtual gateway. In these routers we have a same gateway here given. Now here I'm giving the default gateway virtual 103 192.168 192.168 10.103 100 default gateway. That is virtual gateway I have given here. Verify IP config and no more ping 8.8.8.8. Begin able to ping. Now press at 8.8.8.8. Understood? Because this router is an active router. So standby. This router is active. That is the reason traffic is moving likewise. Traffic is moving likewise. If you want to check more, show standby brief. This router is active and standby router is this one, the standby router. and virtual gateway is this one, whichever we have configured here, that is a virtual gateway. Got it?
Yes.
Fine. Now what we'll do, we'll shut down this interface. We'll shut down this interface. We'll configure this PC also. Before that, 10.104. One 192.168.10.104. Continuously will ping ipconfig. So continuously ping means -t, use -t, 8.8.8.8. So continuously we are pinging. So what I'm doing, I'll shut down this interface. I'll shut down this interface. Shut down. Now went down. See what is happening here. Request timeout. So even though we configured HSRP here, even though we configured HSRP, but no use. Now came up. Now check here. Now came up. Packets are dropping. Packets are dropping. How the traffic flow is there? We'll check this PC with the help of this PC. With the help of 20. The gateways, like earlier, the gateways 10 and gateways 20. Which state this router now? We'll check. Now which state? Show standby. Init state. Init state. Interface is down. It is in init state. What is the reason? The reason is preemption is disabled. Got it? Guys.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So we'll enable the preemption now. Config T, and we'll check. No shutdown. Will use this command for this interface. What will happen? No interface fast Ethernet 0/2. No shutdown. Now this port is came up. Now traffic flow is there. How the traffic flow is there? We'll check once. Do show standby. This is in speaking state, and now came to active state. This is the active router now. This is the active router. It will be elected based on that. Now move to, earlier it was the active router. So that is the reason it is rolled back to take standby 1 and will enable the preemption. And if the interface down also, for this interface down also, it will be moved to the standby state. Config T interface first Ethernet 0/2 standby 1 preemption enabled. Now I'm trying to shut down and shut down. check the traffic, one packet drop, and they are communicating. Now try to check this, do show standby. In its state only. The message is not forwarding. I think packet tracer issue, but it will move to the, wait for 30 seconds, 3 seconds, 10 seconds, I think. But it will be standby state. This router should have to move to the standby state. Here it is showing standby only. See, this is the active router and this is a standby router. It is showing. Not sure. We'll check later those things in different packet tracer issue. So up to here, any doubts? If this interface is goes down, we have a option. It will be moved to likewise. If this interface is goes down, we don't have any issue. This will be elected as active, and active move down, then it will be elected as a active, and this will be moved to the standby. Once this router is came, and it will be take rollback, active to active, and standby is goes to standby. Okay, once this interface, these interfaces are down, then what is the issue? Understood? ISP, sometime ISP issues also will face. We should have to face, right? Some ISP is down, ISP, this ISP is down, ISP's interfaces are down. This interface or this interface. So what is the reason that time? How it will be? So now which one is the standby? This is a standby router, and see, based on the preemption, it will be moved to the standby, because here less than IP address compared to this. So that also will happen when preemption is enabled. This is the active router, because both having the same priority. Both router having the same priority. Earlier it is active only. Understood? Earlier, when this interface is goes down, that time it will be elected as a active, it will be take rollback. But now it was not taken the rollback. Based on the IP address, it will be elected as a active router. If you can change the priority, guys, what is the concern? You understood, right? What is the requirement of preemption?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Good. Now I'll change the priority to standby, and one priority, it is by default is 100. So I am taking the, now this router is a standby router. Just I am increasing the priority compared to this router. So here 101, 105. So now check, this router is a elected as a active router, and this router earlier, this is a standby router based on the IP address. Now check, show standby. This is a active router now, because this interface having the 100 Mbps link, and this router this link having the 10 Mbps. Based on that also we can make it as a active or standby. Whichever having the less Mbps, that is standby, and whichever they having the highest speed, so that is will make it as a always primary. Primary means active. So once this interface is goes down, the traffic is forwarding correctly, everything properly is working. See, No packet drops also, everything is working fine. You can check here, everything is working fine. With which interface? Default tray set. With the tray set, you can check the traffic is flow likewise. From this interface to likewise, the traffic flow is there. The traffic flow is perfectly, it is likewise. Once this interface is goes down, what is happen? Will shut down the interface, enable config T, router interface. I am doing this interface fast Ethernet 0/0 shut down. Then you can check here, destination host is unreachable. Simply we got a error, destination host is unreachable, destination host is unreachable, destination host is unreachable. The traffic is not moving likewise. Because here the interface is down. Here hello packets are sending. Hellos are sending and receiving also. Here up to here our HSRP working. HSRP is working perfectly up to these interfaces. Once this interface is goes down, we cannot reach the communication. Then also issue is there. We haven't configured successfully. We have not reached our successfully. Guys, understood? What about this interface is goes down? Anyone having any solution for this? Anyone having? Jyoti, Krishna, Akhil, anyone having the solution for this?
Can we use standby in there also? Like,
If I will make it as a, see this, I should have to manually, I should have to go and manually, I should have to keep it as a, I increase the priority. Config
yeah,
T. Standby. How you know the interface is goes down or up? Which interface is goes down or up? Okay, that is the we can resolve the issue likewise. But if you are not in office hours, this now it is active router. Yes, you can communicate easily. But you are not in office hours. Then what you will do? Suddenly you got a ticket. You are in not in office hours. You cannot change priority that time. Yeah, end users are facing issue. So how you will resolve this issue? I hope got it.
yeah, I
Mirza,
got the question, but yeah.
any solution for this? Anyone having any solution? The ISP interface is down. Yes or no? Tell me. No issue. I'll explain that thing. What we have to do.
No, sir, I don't.
Fine. So we have a tracker here. Tracker. We have a tracker here. Once this interface is goes down or this interface is goes down, we have a tracker here. Track the ISP interfaces. With the help of tracker, will track the interfaces, ISP interfaces. By default, priority, how much? 100, right? 100 for this and 100 for this. We'll change the priority one for this is 105 and this is a 110. We change it. 100 for this, 105 this. With the help of tracker command, what it will be do? By default, how much this interface having the priority, it will be decreased to that up to -10. Then it will be elected as a active router. Understood? This is having the priorities 105 and this one is having the 100 by default priority. I'll do again earlier priority only. That is 100. Now check. So standby. Whenever I configured the priority, I have decreased the priority 100 by default priority 100. Now it is again came to the standby state. Now the packet drop again started here. The packet drops are started again. Check here. Destination host is unreachable. When I was changed the priority by default priority that is 100, but this priority having the active router. Now check it. Do show standby. See, by default priority is 105 because based on the priority, it will be electing the active router. Now check here active router, and this one is the standby router. Standby, it will be changes the status. Standby. The packets are moving. If you want to try the trace out, see up to here the gateway we can ping. With up to gateway we can ping. After then packets are dropping. Up to gateway only. Here up to gateway only we can ping. So we have a tracker here. With the help of tracker will resolve the issue. Tracker with the help of tracker command. Where I should have to enable the tracker. How we have to enable? It will be decrease the minus 10. Whichever the by default priority have, it will be minus 10. So the by default priority is here. Sorry, we will make it as a priority that is 105. Then it will make it as a 95. By default, it will be decrease the priority up to 10. So standby 1, and here we have the tracker. This command tracker. Track which interface? This is a fast Ethernet 0x0. This is the interface. Fast Ethernet 0x1. And same thing we should have to enable here. Config interface fast Ethernet 0x1 and standby 1 and tracker is fast Ethernet 0x1. With this command, it will decrease the value. Now you can check. It is trying to send the hello packets. So standby. Now it will be elected as an active router. Now check. Wait for a while. Standby. Speaking state, speak. So standby, it will be speak state. Still. See, you can check here. Tracker interface state down decrement 10. See, decrement is 10. As I mentioned, by default priority 100 here. The configuration what we did with the help of that, it will be decrement the 95. And by 10, the by default priority is like here expired in 0 seconds, default priority 100. It is standby. This one also showing active. What happened? are active only. So show standby. Active now. Last changes occurred here. Virtual IP address. Hold down timers enabled. By default priorities. This one. Standby router is unknown. Priorities. The status here so also showing active and this one also showing active. This is a way we have to configure tracker actually. Once this interface is goes down, the track with the help of tracker, it will decrement the priority up to 10. If you want to more, we can configure it up to 100 also, no issue. That much it will be decrement, whichever we are configuring. But in packet tracer up to by default 10 we can decrement. This is a way we have to configure it. Okay, what we'll do, we'll pair this in 30 seconds. By the communication is happen via this one. Sometimes it will be make it as a issues likewise only, but concept is likewise only, whichever we discussed it. Anyone have any questions still? Guys,
Like now both are active, right, sir?
so both are active. That is also issue we are facing. So stand by.
It is
Should we
decreasing.
give any timing there?
Yeah,
Yeah, 3 second hold down timer is up to 10 seconds.
I think one where to be one for -10 and one for -20 like that.
Now reload the router. With the help of write command, we can save the configuration. Once you save the configuration, then only reload the routers. Now check it, enable, show standby. Now speaking state. Now one is elected as a show standby. This one is an active router. Enable, show standby. So what is the issue? Oh, they are electing. This one is standby now, and this one is active router. This one is the active router, and this one is the standby. Okay, I'll try to shut down this interface now. Got it, guys? This one is the
One is
this one
active
is
and
active. Yeah, this one is active, and this one is the standby router. And we'll shut down this interface, top of the interface, and our traffic flow is there, right? Yes, proper traffic flow, and we'll check trace it. Yes. Completed, and this is the way we are communicating now. This is the way we are communicating. Now we'll shut down this interface. Config the interface fast Ethernet 0/1. Right. Shut down. Now check this active router, what it will be, decrease the priority. So standby. -10 is it is did now priority is 95. Now check this router is now speaking state. Now it will be moved to the standby state. Now this router standby, this router is came to active router. Now we can communicate easily and trace it. If you are facing likewise issues, just save the configuration and reload the router. Then only it will be work properly, because packet tracer have not much more compatibilities for packet tracer. So that is the reason we got issue. Now issue is resolved, right? Understood, guys? Everyone?
Yes.
Fine. Now this is a standby. Once you configured, use the no shutdown config T interface fast Ethernet 0/1. Use no shutdown, and it will be elected based on the same active router. Now it will be elected as an active router. Earlier it was a active router. Do show standby. And you can check here, active router is this one. 10%. Okay. Everyone understood the concept, right? And go through the lab and practice it. If you have any questions, ask me.